So welcome to this latest video on 162 Maths, and in this video we'll be continuing with the theme of going through some big mark questions taken from some higher GCSE exam past papers. Now, as always, there'll be a copy of the questions as a link for you to download and have an attempt at before watching through this video as we go through the answers, and I strongly recommend that you do, just so you can see how much you know and how many marks you would get from each of the questions. Now, before we get started, it's worth noting that it's really important that you do understand the topics that these questions do relate to. So if you do find that you're not too sure about any of the topics of the questions that we're going to go through, then please feel free to check out the contents page, which has lessons and detailed lessons of all of these topics. And all you need to do is just simply click on the link in the description below. Now, again, a little reminder that if you're wanting a copy of the questions and a copy of the mark scheme, if you find a different method or want to check how many marks you would get for your particular answer, then all you need to do again is just click on the link in the description. So let's get straight into question 1. So question 1 reads, to be rented, a bedroom must have a floor area of at least 6.51 square meters. A bedroom has a rectangular floor. The floor measures 2.4 meters by 2.9 meters, each correct to two significant figures. Show that the bedroom can be rented. So for this, what we need to do is, because we want it to be at least 6.51, then we need the lower values of each of the two dimensions that we have been given. So here we want to find the lower bounds of these two amounts. So the first thing we need to do is find the lower bounds of the lengths. Now, to two significant figures, that represents the number after the decimal point, so we're looking at tenths. So to find this, we need to do 2.4, and then we need to subtract, or plus or minus, and then if we're looking at tenths, we divide that by 2, which gives us 0.05. So we want to add and subtract 0.05 to find the upper and lower bound. Now, because we're looking for the lower bound, we're going to be taking away, so that then is going to give me a value of 2.35. And for the other length, and let me just write on the pen, so we've got 2.9 plus or minus 0.05, in which I want the lower bound, so I'm going to be taking away again. So here I've got 2.85. So to find the smallest area, I need to use these two lengths that I've just found. So that's going to be 2.35 multiplied by 2.85, and that gives me an answer of 6.6975 square meters. So all I'm left then to do is to compare this to the least amount, which is 6.51, and I've got the smallest possible area that floor is going to be is 6.6975. so you can then say as 6.6975 is greater than 6.51, the room can be rented, which is exactly what they wanted me to show, because they've told me within the question that the room can be rented. I just need to produce mathematical evidence for it. Moving on to question 2, it says the equation of a curve is y equals x squared minus 18x plus 70. By completing the square, work out the coordinates of the turning point. You must show you're working out. Now again, just to state the obvious, we need to use the method of completing the square. We can't sketch the quadratic, can't plot it. And we also can't use a graphic calculator if you do manage to smuggle one into your GCSE exam. So for this, what we need to remember is when we have it in completing the square form, then the turning point is going to have a coordinate of minus a, b. Now the minus a basically is the value of x that makes this bracket equal to 0. So here, using completing the square, so I've got x minus, and it's going to be half of 18x, which is 9, squared plus 70, and then I take away whatever numbers inside the bracket, or the digit inside the bracket, squared, so minus 9 squared. So that's going to leave me with x minus 9 squared plus 70 minus 81, which simplified gives me 9x squared minus 11. So here, the value that makes this bracket equal to 0 is going to be minus 9, and then the y-ordinate is the constant outside the bracket, which is minus 11. So my coordinate then is going to be positive 9 minus 11. Moving on to question 3, it says Laura works in a shop. The table shows the number of hours she works on 2 weekends. And the question is asking us to work out the percentage increase in her total hours from weekend 1 to weekend 2. So for this, what we need to do is to find the percentage increase or change then the formula is the difference divided by the original multiplied by 100. Now the original in this case, because we're looking at week 1 to week 2, the original is going to be week 1. So from this, what I then need to do is to work out the total hours worked on Saturday and Sunday for both weekends. So here, looking at weekend 1, I've got 3 plus 2, which is 5, and 5.5 plus 3.5 is going to give me 9. So then substituting it into this formula here, I get work out the difference. That's 9 minus 5, all divided by the original amount, which is 5, and we multiply that by 100. So simplifying this, 9 take away 5 is 4. So I've got 4/5 times 100. 4/5 as a decimal is 0.8. So it's 0.8 times 100, which gives me a percentage of 80%. Moving on to question 4, it says A is an arithmetic progression. Here is the first 4 terms. G is a geometric progression, and here are the first 4 terms. And it says the nth term of A is equal to the 8th term of G. Work out the value of n. So for this, we need to find, well, let me just go through the steps. So first I need to find the nth term of A. I then need to find the nth term of G. I then need to work out the 8th term of G, and then I then need to make this equal to the nth term of A, and then basically I need to solve for n. So these are the 5 steps that I'm going to be working with. Now with it being arithmetic progression, that basically means a linear sequence. So another word for this is a linear sequence. So to find the nth term, I look at the difference, which here I can see is plus 3. So the nth term of A, so I'll just put #1 so you can see what step I'm doing, is going to be 3n. And then what do I need to get from 3 to 13? Well, I need to add 10. So the nth term of A is 3n plus 10. Then for the geometric progression, now the formula for the nth term of geometric progression is A times R to the power of n minus 1, where A is the first term, R is the common ratio, and n is the position. So here I can see, if I just write the nth term of G, so here I can see the first term is 2, so that's going to be 2 times. Now in terms of the common ratio, all I need to do is divide 2 consecutive terms together. So R is going to be 4 divided by 2, which is 2. And again, if I picked 8 and 4, I would still get 2. If I did 16 over 8, I would still get 2. So here my R value is 2, and I've got n minus 1. So to find the 8th term of G, so the 8th term of G, I need to substitute n equals 8 into this formula. So I end up with 2 times 2 to the power of 8 minus 1, which is 7. Now 2 to the power 7, if you work this out without a calculator, so just go through using your fingers, we've got 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. So it's going to be 2 times 128, which is 256. So then following on from the 4th step, so this here is my 4th, this is my 5th step. So then, oh no, I've got that wrong. So then the 4th step is we then need to make this equal to the nth term we've got in A. So that means that 3n plus 10 equals 256. Then we need to solve this for n. So here I've got 3n equals, and then take away the 10 gives me 246. And then n equals 246 divided by 3, in which you can use the bus stop method or you can work it out yourself, but it gives us an n value of 82. Moving on to question 5, it says the information about 2 fridge freezers A and B are shown. So for the for fridge freezer A, we've got the total capacity is 330 litres, and for B we know that the fridge capacity is 294, and we've got the ratios of the fridge to the freezer as shown on the screen. It says Grace buys one of these fridge freezers. She wants to buy the one with the greater freezer capacity. Which one does she buy? So here what we need to do is work out what the freezer capacity is for each of the questions, of each of the fridge freezers rather. So for this we know the total capacity, so we know that 330 equals 5 parts. So then if I then work out what one part is, so 330 divided by 5 equals 1 part, and working that calculation out, and it's just either we can do it manually or using a calculator depending on what type of question is this, but I'd say probably potentially maybe non-calculator if you want to test yourself, but 1 part is 66. Now the freezer here is 2 parts, so then I need to do 2 times 66, which gives me an answer of 132 litres. Then what I then need to do is work out the freezer capacity for fridge freezer B. So here we know that the freezer capacity is 294. So that means that 294 equals 7 parts. So then to work out 1 part, I need to do 294 divided by 7. And again, you can either use calculator or use the bus stop method. And again, if you treat this question like a non-calculator, you probably would definitely test yourself. So we get 42. So therefore, the freezer is 3 parts. So that's going to be 3 times 42, which gives me an answer of 126 litres. So all that's left for me to then do is to compare the freezer capacity for the 2 freezers. Remember, Grace wants the greater freezer capacity. So you can then say that as 132 is greater than 126, she should pick fridge freezer A is better for Grace. So something along those lines would be absolutely fine. Let me just not call her Gracie, let's call her name Grace. So moving on to the last question, it says that here is a plan of the floor of an L-shaped room. All lengths are in meters. And question A is asking us the area of the floor is 75 square meters. Show that x squared plus x minus 90 equals 0. Now the fact they've given us the area means we need to find an expression for the area. Now because this is a compound shape, what we need to do is break this shape up into 2 sections. So I've got A and I've got B. Now looking at the area expression for the area of A, we need to know the length and the width. So for here, we're going to have 3 lots of x minus 5, which is 3x minus 15. Let's just put a little box around that. Then for B, we're looking at the 2 dimensions. Now x plus 1 is all of this, but the 2 dimensions we need to use are these 2 here. So the area then is going to be x lots of x minus 2, which when we expand it is x squared minus 2x. So to find the total area, which we've been told is 75, is also equal to 3x minus 15 plus x squared minus 2x. So if I simplify this here, then what I end up with is x squared plus x minus 15 equals 75. And as you can see, what we want to show is that the expression equal to 0. So all that's left for me to then do is take the 75 over to the other side, in which I end up with what they wanted me to show, which is the expression you can see there. Then finally, for the last bit, it says by factorising x squared plus x minus 90 to work out the value of x, you must show you're working out. So here, factorising this, again, we want to use our brackets. So we want 2 numbers that multiply together to give you minus 90, but added together give you positive 1. So the numbers you want to pick then are plus 10 and minus 9. Remember that equals 0, because we then need to work out the value of x. So we factorised the expression, which is this part here. We now need to work out the value of x. So from this, we can then find out that 2 possible values are x equals minus 10 or positive 9. Now for this, it does say to work out the value of x. Now remember that x is incorporated in length and we can't have negative length. So here, the only possible values, so x can't be this. So x can't equal minus 10, as it would give negative length. So therefore, x must equal 9. And there we go.